Welcome, my friends, to the Black Diamond Call for Monday, the 10th of April, 2017. I'm John Lavenia, as you no doubt have guessed, and we're going to have a fun conversation tonight. I'm really excited about our co-host that we've got joining us here tonight for the first time ever on the Black Diamond Call and the first time ever here inside the Digital Altitude live training call and webinar series. Before we get into that, though, we do have a couple of quick announcements, seeing that we are just 9 days away, less than 9 days now, 9 days away from the Marketing Mastery event happening in Orlando, Florida, April 19th through 21st. And rooms are still available for $189 per night at Disney's Coronado Bay Resort. I kept saying Concord, and those of you who have heard me on other calls say, I think the name of the place is the Concord. Anyway, it's the Coronado Bay Resort. I've been enlightened by none other than Mary D., our Chief Operating Officer. By the way, Mary D. is the greatest problem solver, one of the greatest problem solvers I've ever met. I mean, she is just as cool as a cucumber. If you guys have never met Mary D. and you got a problem, my goodness, she could solve it just like with the use of thought. She is awesome. And anyway, if you want a special rate on a Coronado Bay Resort room, hit support at digitalaltitude.co or events at digitalaltitude.co. Either email address would work, and you'll get the link for the special group rate. And by the way, it's a really good idea. I'll just add this as well. It's a really good idea to be at the venue where the event is happening. I know there are obviously lots of hotels in various cities, including Orlando. However, there's some magical stuff that happens sort of after the sessions, after the workshops, after the meetings, that happens in hallways, that happens in cafes. And it's really cool connections that are made. So this is part of the unspoken benefit, which you couldn't even pay for, okay? But you can only get it by being at the venue itself, and so really good rate on that room as well. So obviously, go ahead and grab that while it lasts. Also for VIPs, those of you holding VIP tickets or buying VIP tickets now, which of course you can do at mydaevents.com. We're going to be doing off-site dinner, some amazing entertainment. Party starts at 8. There'll be departures from the hotel. Anyway, that info will be made available during registration. And for anyone arriving early on the 19th, they can come meet us by the pool. Yes, we're having a pool party from noon till 2 p.m. General registration will be open all day from 3 to 8 p.m. And there's also going to be a meet and greet and a cash bar from 7:30 to 9:30 on the 19th as well. Anyway, lots of festivities. It's a big deal. Do not miss this event. If there is any way that you do not have a ticket yet, get one and then get to Orlando. Anyway, I've said enough. We're already 3 minutes into the call. This is the Black Diamond. Here's what we do on this call. It's a little bit different in the way that this call, we just kind of let our hair down if we have any hair. I think my co-host tonight has removed any hair, but just judging by his pictures. And but yeah, we just say it like it is here on the Black Diamond Call. This is about helping you accelerate your own evolution, getting to your goals and your fulfillment of your purposes, hopefully even faster than we did. This is about just accelerating that process, right? I mean, money likes speed, and if you like money and you like to go fast, well, then you're in the right place. So the rules are, see how these ideas that you get here tonight apply into your own life and into your own business, okay? These ideas are for use. As much as I love philosophy, philosophy does not serve me unless I put it to use. So see how these ideas are usable and workable for you. Take what you like and leave the rest. And of course, if my co-host or I say anything that offends you, you'll get over it. That's just how we roll. So what are we talking about tonight? We are talking about overcoming excuses. My goodness, if I had to do a bunch of that in my life, like every day. Every day. So if you're thinking, oh my goodness, we're going to get a lecture from people up in the ivory tower who have never had an excuse in their life, not the case. Not the case, my friends. There's a saying, as easy as it is to do the right thing, it's even easier to not do it. So what does that mean? Well, the title of my first book was Integrity is Everything. And that means that I had to sort of get out of my own way. That means I had to start to confront the ideas that I thought were powerful enough to stop me. And I had to be decisive in the face of doubts, fears, indecision, right? Indecision, my goodness, that's a killer. And it often is verbalized in the form of an excuse. Like, I can't, and here's why. I mean, that sounds awesome. But you know what? The results aren't that awesome. I also heard, here's another saying for you. You can either make money or you can make excuses. You can't do both, right? So in business and in life, we're looking for doers. The marketplace is looking for doers. Your new members that you're about to enroll, they're looking for doers. They're looking for leaders. They're looking for people who can think bigger and act bigger than the standard issue excuses that stop most people from ever doing anything, tiptoeing through life, hoping to make it safely to death, which is just tragic. Tragic. You know, I've heard from many people who have said that they've talked to their elder relatives on the deathbed and hearing of the regrets of all the things they didn't do. You know, they let the music die in them, so to speak. And my goodness, that is one thing that I don't want to be saying on my deathbed. Assuming I die in a bed, I don't know. I don't have a crystal ball. It's still on back order. But I'm thinking, what can I do right now to be bigger than the excuses, the circumstances, the trivial stuff, which we all have, right? We all came here with a story. We're still writing that story, okay? I mean, you're here now. You're still occupying space on the planet, not 6 feet into the planet. So yes, you're still qualified to keep writing your story. And we all have a past. We all have a past. So a lot of times we find that we get into a bit of a conditioning or a training pattern where we keep repeating yesterday's experiences because we keep bringing our expectations of the future from yesterday into today. And that makes a really interesting equation. You know, what do I expect of this effort that I'm about to do, of this decision that I could make? And a lot of times we don't even think like this. We don't know that we're thinking like this, but a lot of times we start to fashion excuses based on a natural impulse, which is to avoid further pain. Yes, you've got a story, and yes, it's not all happy. I get it. Believe me, I get it. I've got a story too. Oh my goodness, what a story. I'm not done writing mine either, by the way. Okay, but the point is that if we keep dragging the past into the present to try and create a better future, and not figuring out why we're not reaching, we're not pushing as hard as we could, we're not pulling in the current of the marketplace. Yes, the current, the currency, the money, the rewards, the spoils of victory. Why we're not doing that to our fullest extent? Well, we're going to have to look in the mirror and confront the person who keeps showing up at the scene of the crime. So to help us with this, okay, so again, this sounds like a pretty heavy-duty conversation, and it might be. It might be. I know the guy I'm about to bring out here is definitely heavy duty. If you ever see this guy at the live events, my goodness, he is muscle bound like King Kong over here. He knows about overcoming excuses, and he knows about getting on with developing one's mind and one's body, apparently, to be all he can be. And so I honor that. I respect that. So it's with great delight that let me introduce everyone to our friend TJ Fannin. TJ, how are you, brother?
Hey, what's going on, John?
Doing good, man. Doing good. I don't know if I built you up enough, though, man. You're like King Kong over there, man. What are you doing?
King Kong. That sounds good to me. Super excited to be on this call just because in our team we actually have a team page where we add new members and everything, and we do little Monday calls. And I'll share my story, and a lot of people relate with me just because I come from a place where a lot of people can, you know, they resonate with it just because I if you will, started from nothing and worked my way up with this entire thing. So just I'm super excited to talk about my story a little bit and dive into the mindset it took for me to get where I am. So if you want me to just go ahead.
Yeah, take it away, brother.
Cool. Okay. So, yeah, my name's TJ Fannin. I am from New Orleans, Louisiana. I was born and raised down here. Yes, I'm a Saints fan. But I love it down here. The city, people down here are very passionate about being from the city. It's very unique. If you've ever been down here, it's a very unique place. So people are very passionate about, you know, being from New Orleans. So obviously everybody knows about Hurricane Katrina. Hurricane Katrina for me was a big turning point in my life. We had been through many hurricanes before, and we would evacuate for a day or two. The hurricane would pass, and then we'd go back home. But as everybody knows, Hurricane Katrina was a little bit different. So we evacuated like normal for Hurricane Katrina, and I was actually at my grandparents' house, and we kind of just watched it on the news as it was happening. And in the following days, things got worse, and the water got worse, and we realized, oh crap, we're not going home for a while. So it was kind of like a disbelief state it kind of put me in. So after a couple of months, my parents are originally from Missouri. So after a few months after Katrina, when they weren't allowing people back in the state, we went up to Missouri to stay with some of our family. And it basically it started a whole homesick feeling for me, and because everything I knew was down in New Orleans. So like I said, I was born and raised down there. All my friends were down there. So Katrina happened, and we're in Missouri, and I didn't want to be in Missouri. I wanted to be back home. My parents, it was such a tough road for them. My dad lost all of his business and everything, so he had no way to really make money for us to live. So they decided to, Missouri, by the way, is a lot cheaper to live, so they decided to move to Missouri for good. For them, it was going home, But for me, it was taking me away from my home and everything I knew. So after Hurricane Katrina, I stayed in Missouri for about 8 months, and then I just got tired of it. I was like, you know what? I'm going back down to New Orleans. I'm going to figure this out. And at the time, one of my friends was living in a FEMA trailer. FEMA trailer are these trailers that FEMA gives out to people whose houses were messed up. So this trailer was about 5 feet by 15 feet. It was the tiniest little thing, and me and my best friend were living in there, and we lived there, and I worked manual labor. Didn't really have the direction of what I was going in life, but me and my buddy lived in the FEMA trailer, and then when it was on his grandmother's property, and she got tired of us being there, basically, so she cut the electricity off on us, and he's like, man, I'm going to live with my mom. I hate to do this, but I don't know what you're going to do, So I lived in the FEMA trailer for about a month after he moved out on this lady's property with no electricity. So I was trying to work and figure out what the heck I was going to do with myself, and ended up, it just got bad. So I broke down, called my mom, was like, Mom, I'm going to come back to Missouri. So I went back to Missouri, and I got into, everybody was telling me I needed to get into college, apparently. So I went to a community college and absolutely hated it one semester. And then after that semester, I picked up and said, I'm going back down to New Orleans. I'm going to make it work. So went back down to New Orleans again and started living with friends and family, and worked manual labor for about another 8 months. And after 8 months, I really just was lost with where I was supposed to go with my life. I wasn't making that much money. And so one thing that I was always passionate about, I was a football player in high school, but when I graduated high school, I was only about 140 pounds, so they said I was too small to play collegiate football. So after my second time living down in New Orleans after Katrina, I moved back to Missouri, again, and actually started registering for schools. And I wanted to walk onto a school and play football. That was one of my goals. So I ended up walking onto a Division II school called Missouri Western. And I walked on and earned a scholarship. I was always really, really fast, so I knew I had the ability to play at a higher level than high school, and I put on a little bit of weight. So I walked onto the school and I earned a scholarship, and it was a great feeling. I was like, all right, I'm doing something with my life now, finally. And so I started going down this road. I want to play professional football. That was always my dream as a little kid, and it kind of got put back because of Hurricane Katrina. And I was like, you know what? It's never too late to go after my dreams. And so I walked into the school, earned a scholarship, and in my second year, I was rotating in as a starter in a Division II school. Now, Division II is obviously smaller than some of the bigger schools, but the school that I was in had a lot of competition. I actually have about 4 or 5 good friends right now that are in the NFL right now. So our school had a lot of potential, and the Kansas City Chiefs moved their summer camp to our school. So they built this multi-million-dollar facility. It was like perfect for me, It was like, all right, I go to a small school, and then it already has ties with the NFL because the Chiefs have their camp here. So This is kind of when things got a little crazy for me, because I had always, every summer I would go back to New Orleans and I would feel super homesick, and it was just a horrible feeling. And the summer before my junior year, and I actually had NFL scouts looking at me. I set the school record for a vertical leap, which is at 40 inches. So my vert was 40 inches, and I got clocked in at a 4.33 40-yard dash, which is like NFL speed. So I had NFL scouts looking at me, and it was the summer before my junior year, and I was going to be a starter, and everybody's looking forward to it. And I took a trip down to New Orleans again, just like I always do right before school starts. And it was a weird summer for me. It was a summer where I was super emotional, And I remember one night we went on vacation with some of my friends, and I was walking on the beach, and I was drunk at the time, but I was crying because I was so emotional, and I was missing my friends and family life, and I just wasn't happy, So it kind of just messed up my whole trip. The next day, I'm on the beach, and I completely blow out my ankle, sprain my ankle so badly. Just playing toss football, I was in about ankle deep water, and just kind of sprained my ankle badly. So it was really weird because, like I said, I was in a very emotional state, and then I sprained my ankle, and then I go back to Missouri, and camp starts the next week. So I'm obviously pretty injured going into camp. I have a pretty bad ankle, and my coach is telling me, look, if you don't practice, you don't play. That's just how it goes. So I fought through it, I fought through the injury, and I was completely overcompensating with my left ankle because my right ankle was sprained. So I went all through camp overcompensating, and I started out the season very well. It was actually come week 5, I was leading the conference in all-purpose yards, and week 5, and I'm lining up for a play, and went to push off with my left foot, the leg that I was overcompensating on, and my ankle exploded. And when I say it exploded, my left Achilles tendon completely ruptured. So it was quite a crazy experience. Like I said, I was lined up by the other team's sideline, and I thought they threw their helmet at me and hit me with something because it was just an extreme boom. And when your Achilles ruptures, your heel drops. So I initially went to take a step, and my heel's touching the ground, and I can't move my toes. So my toes are up in the air, and my heel's touching the ground. So I immediately knew something was wrong. I didn't know it was an Achilles. But I one-legged hop all the way across the field, got to my trainer. I was like, I broke my ankle or something. He's like, what are you talking about? And he went to feeling on the back of my leg, and he's like, that's your Achilles, bud. So my Achilles ruptured completely and rolled up into my calf. At the time when it happened, it didn't hurt because I had so much adrenaline going. But it was just one of those things that you never expect to happen to you, So I actually went in for surgery the next day, and I had surgery and woke up in probably the worst pain of my life. I remember they kept asking me on a 1 to 10 scale what was my pain, and every time they'd ask, I'd say a 37. So it was pretty crazy, and I had a full leg cast from my ankle all the way up to my buttocks. So a full leg cast, and I was in a wheelchair and with crutches to move around my house. And I was that way for 6 months. 6 months I was in a full leg cast and couldn't do anything. It was the absolute worst 6 months of my life. I was the most depressed I had ever been because I felt like, everything I ever wanted in life. It took me so long to figure out where the direction of my life was going, and then I figured it out, and I'm playing college football, and I have a chance to go to the NFL, and I ruptured my Achilles. So it was just a devastating event for my life, and it just sent me down a bad spiral. Now, I know that my story is very, very long, so I'm going to get to the point of all this, trust me. But, yeah, like I said, 6 months in a wheelchair and with a ruptured Achilles tendon. It was very gruesome, and thank God I had good friends to push me on my wheelchair to class. I didn't go to class that often, but I did still pass all my classes. But after 6 months when I got my cast off and I started doing rehab, I was depressed, I was trying to come back from an injury, but I was just depressed that, I was looking at life like anything bad that could happen will happen to me, and that's exactly what happened. My mindset literally put me in that place. So I was depressed. I was not treating friends correctly. I had a girlfriend at the time that I was mistreating. Like I said, I was just very depressed, and I was feeding. I couldn't do anything, I was sitting around, so I was drinking alcohol and doing drugs, and it just sent me down a bad, depressed path. And then one day, after a long weekend, I woke up on a Monday morning and I was completely off. Something was definitely wrong with me. And I remember going to class and not being able to fill out my name correctly, and I had to leave class early because I just couldn't comprehend anything that was going on in my reality at the time. So I drove home somehow, and I remember getting home and sitting on my couch and trying to text some friends to see what happened in class. And I remember being super uncomfortable, so I kept moving from couch to couch to couch to couch to try and get more comfortable. And next thing I know, I wake up 4 days later in a hospital. So what happened was my roommate's girlfriend found me. I was convulsing on the ground of our living room. They thought it was a seizure, but it actually wasn't. Test came back, it wasn't a seizure or anything, but it was like seizure-like symptoms. So they had to rush me to the hospital, and they put me into a medically induced coma. And when I was in this medically induced coma, like I said, it was like I fell asleep for a nap and woke up 4 days later. But apparently when I was in this coma, they said I wasn't going to wake up. And they said if I did, I was going to be completely brain dead. So they said there was no hope for me, Every time they would go to try to take me off breathing and everything or whatever, my limbs would curl up. So they thought for sure I was going to be brain dead. And then one day I woke up. And I proceeded to hit on every nurse that was in my area. And I had a catheter that I was trying to pull out. And I was trying to dance up and down the hallways. I was completely oblivious to what happened, but I was so out of it from being in a 4-day coma. I guess all the drugs they had in me, I never grasped what happened to me. But so the next couple of days, I went home with my family, and the next couple of days, I kind of tried to piece together what the heck happened. And it took me so long to realize, like, I went into a coma because I went back for EEGs, and they tested my brain and found nothing wrong with me. Like I said, they thought it was a seizure, but it wasn't a seizure. So nobody really knew what was wrong to me, but it took me a while. I ended up coming back from the injury and finishing my rehab on my Achilles, and I played my senior year less than a year after rupturing my Achilles. Now, I didn't play as much as or up to my full potential that I would have before, but I did play and did do okay. But needless to say, my football career was over. So I ended up graduating college, and after I graduated college, I really kind of started to dig into, what the heck happened? Like, what is this journey of my life supposed to be, And it took me a while, but after I graduated college, I was like, this time I'm for real. I'm moving down to New Orleans again, and I'm going to create a life that I can be happy of. So I moved down here and got a job. Go figure. This is the third time. Only this time things were a little bit different. I kind of slowly started diving into mindset and the law of attraction. And then I picked up a book. And this book literally changed everything for me. This book is called Ask and It Is Given by Esther and Jerry Hicks. Okay? So this book basically breaks down exactly what law of attraction is. And as soon as I started reading this book, within the first chapter, I started crying because I put all the pieces together in my life. I literally created this mindset that whatever bad, since Katrina, whatever bad could happen in my life would. And I held this mindset for a couple of years. And it literally led me down this crazy path, emotional path, that led to me rupturing my Achilles, which led to further depression, which led to me going into a coma. And then I had this whole awakening experience. So as soon as I started reading about law of attraction and realizing that my thoughts literally created my reality, my focus on bad things going on in my life was attracting more of that. I put these pieces together, and it was like, it was the craziest experience I've ever had. Like I said, I started reading this book, and I was obsessed. I was obsessed with law of attraction and mindset, okay? Because I started realizing, wow, I went through all that because of my own thoughts about my life. The way I perceived my life literally affected how it played out. So it was a pretty crazy experience for me. And yeah, so I kind of just dug into mindset stuff. I was like, you know what, I don't necessarily know where my life's going to go, but that's okay, I don't have to know exactly how I'm going to get where I'm going to go. I just need to know that I can control where I go with my mindset on things. And then that's when I fell in love with Instagram. So I fell in love with Instagram and started trying to, mess around with getting followers and using hashtags and all this normal stuff. And I found my mentor on Instagram. It was kind of crazy. I literally signed up, and I had no idea what I even signed up for. And this is not BD042 that I'm talking about. This is a previous company that I was with before I had the success I've had with BD042. But I found my mentor, Justin Holland, on Instagram, randomly signed up under an Australian guy and had no clue what I was doing. And he must have thought I was some train wreck because when I joined, I had never owned a computer in my life. And I didn't even have a computer when I first started out. I had a tablet. So I was completely not tech savvy and had no idea about the online world. Had no clue about marketing, sales funnels, any of this stuff, So, yeah, it was pretty crazy that I was at a point in my life where I was like, you know what, I'm not going to worry about how things are going to happen for me. I'm just going to focus on the fact that I control my own happiness, and if I control my mindset, the how will come to me. I don't need to worry about the how. I just need to worry about the why and why I want to get where I want to be. Okay, so yeah, it was pretty crazy that I had that mindset at the time, and literally the next day or something, I attracted an online business opportunity and a mentor. So right there, I knew initially, and I'm sure a lot of people that start out with an online business, they feel that way at some point. They're like, man, this showed up in my life at the perfect time. It showed up in my life when I needed this the most. And for me personally, that's exactly what happened. I trusted my instincts. I trusted the fact that I attracted this experience. If I attracted everything bad that happened to me in my life, I could attract something good too. So when an online business and a mentor came to me, showed up in my life, I trusted it. And I had no doubt that I was going to make this work. So like I said, Justin, he put up with a lot of crap in the beginning because I would ask the stupidest questions just because I had no clue about any of this. I never used a computer before. You should still see me type. When I type on a computer, it's like 2-3 fingers, but I'm actually pretty effective with it now. But like I said, I started this with a tablet, so my journey was pretty crazy. But the one thing that helped me out every single day was mindset. I dove into personal development every single day. There's not a day that went by that I wasn't reading a book or listening to an audio on law of attraction, personal development. I read Think and Grow Rich. I read 4-Hour Work Week. I read all these books, and it literally changed my perspective on what was possible in this world. So I had the mindset, and I didn't care that I didn't have the technical abilities. I was going to get where I wanted to be no matter what. Now, don't get me wrong. I didn't just join a online business opportunity and succeed right away. Okay, I had extreme struggles. For my first three months or so, I couldn't figure out some of the simplest things because, again, I was working from a tablet. So try figuring out how to right-click on a tablet. I trust you, you'll be like me and want to step out the window because I almost did that 3 or 4 times. But I stuck with it, and I realized, it's not going to be a straight arrow straight to the top of where I want to be. There's going to be things that are going to test me. There's going to be things that I'm not going to know how to do that I'm going to have to figure out how to do. There's going to be things I'm uncomfortable with doing. I was uncomfortable with getting on video and talking in front of people. That was not a strong point. I even dropped out of a public speaking course in college, and now I'm actually pretty well at speaking. From what I think, at least. I dropped out of a public speaking class, and here I am talking on a call right now. So I realized I was going to have to do things that I wasn't comfortable doing, but I also understood that the life I was living in the past, and at that time, if I continued doing the things and living that same normal life and not, getting out of my comfort zone and doing new things, then I was just going to continue to live the same old life. And that wasn't for me. So I said, screw it. I'm going to figure this out. I'm going to do videos. I don't care what people think of me anymore. I'm doing this for myself. At this time, when I just started all this and I was just starting to struggle, my girlfriend found out she was going to have twins. Okay? So talk about the weight of the world coming down on me. in the middle of me trying to figure something out. So it was pretty crazy, but at the same time, it was more motivation for me to figure this out. I remember one day I had probably about $15 in my bank account. And this was after I started working online. And I knew when I was going to have to pay for the online business, like the monthly recurring payment. I knew exactly when that was coming out, and I knew that I didn't have it in my bank account. And this was at the time when I was ready to quit. I couldn't figure things out. I was using a tablet. So I remember that night thinking, this payment's going to come out tomorrow, and I don't have the money in my account. You know, something's got to happen. And I remember sitting there thinking, like, is this really for me? Like, am I really supposed to be on this journey to working online? And I remember just thinking, you know, just show me, you know, God, show me that I'm on the right path. You know, just give me a sign that I'm on the right path. And so I went to bed, and the next morning I woke up. And anytime you work online, most people, when they wake up, first thing they do is they check their emails, you know, just to see if they've made sales or whatever. So I remember waking up the next day, but only I wasn't going to check my emails. I was going to check my bank account because I was almost for sure I was going to be negative in my account, and I was going to be hit with overdraft fees and all this. I checked my bank account, and somehow I received like, I think it was $20 or $30 from, because I was doing stuff with fitness too, so I was making like $20-$30 a month from fitness supplements and stuff. The money came in my account overnight, right before the payout went out, and I didn't go negative. So I knew right there, that's a freaking sign if I've ever seen one, you know. So I stuck with it and stuck it out, and you know, I trusted Justin, and I trusted that working online could be possible for me at that point. You know, so one of the big things that happened to me is I was still working from a tablet, but I went to my first event. Okay, now John was talking about the power in events. Look, the power in events is real. This is not just some hype about, you know, getting to an event to hear people talk. It's more than that. Okay, the relationships you make at events are what changes your life and what changes your business. Okay, for me personally, when I went to my first event, I initially saw all these people, okay, all these people that are making this crazy amount of money online. And just seeing them and speaking with them, being next to them, I realized, you know what, these people aren't anything special. They're exactly like me. You know, they're just normal people that put in the work to figure this out. They didn't blame a company. They didn't blame their sponsor for not helping them. They didn't blame their training or their whatever they were doing for their business. They didn't blame that. They literally just took action and figured stuff out. So I saw these people that were making this happen. I was like, if these people can do it, I can do this too. So my first month after being at an event was my biggest month online at that time. I had my first $5,000 month from a tablet. I brought my tablet to the event and everything. People were laughing at me when I was there, but I had my first 5K month from a tablet, and it was just surreal for me, you know. And this is while we're pregnant with twins, so it was crazy, you know. After the event, I went back. You got to realize that I had a full-time job at this time. Fitness is okay. So when I graduated college and got done with football, I had to do something to stay active. So fitness was a passion of mine. That's why I got on Instagram to begin with, because fitness is a big niche on Instagram. So yeah, I started this all out, and it was just kind of crazy for me that Instagram was kind of the way that I went about this and attracted it, you know. So yeah, I had my first 5K month, and then proceeded to just believe in myself more from there on. You know, I realized that, you know, if I could have one 5K month, I could double that, and if I could double that, I could double it again. And I realized it was all just a state of mind that I needed to have. Like I said earlier, success isn't always a straight arrow to the top. You got to realize it's going to be up and down, up and down, up and down. And the one way to get past that is to have a strong mindset, is to listen to inspirational stories, is to listen to motivation, do personal development every single day. Because when you have those bad days, when things aren't going your way, you can sit back and become inspired, to be motivated, and realize your higher path on this is still there. You just have to see through the dark times sometimes. So there's always a silver lining in the cloud, you know. So for me personally, it was a thing that I realized, you know, I can do this, and other people can do this, and there's no reason if someone else could do it that I could, you know. So that was big for me, the event, and then staying in tune with my mindset on a regular basis. So I was super pumped at that time, and then we found Digital Altitude, and things have just kind of gone crazy in this past year since I found Digital Altitude, just because there's so much leverage in the system, and it's just incredible. You know, it lines up so perfectly with what I'm trying to do. So I have no doubt that I will reach my goals. Like I said, I've only been working online now for 2 years, and I see some people that have been working online for like 8-10 years, and it's like, wow, when I get to that point, when I've been working online that long, I can only imagine where I'm going to be, you know. So I'm just super excited to be able to be a part of this entire family. I looked at this entire thing as an education. I realized it wasn't going to be a get-rich-quick scheme, because those don't exist. You know, you have to put in work. You have to be patient with the process. You have to learn things that you're not used to doing, and you have to kind of, you know, just go at your own pace. So I looked at this as an education. I said, if I went through 5 years of college, you know, and got a degree and went through all that crap, a degree, might I add, that is useless to me at this point. I looked at this as an education. You know, I looked at it as when somebody wants to become a doctor, they don't just start college or start going to medical school, and within the first semester you're like, you know what, I'm not making any money, I give up. It just doesn't happen. So for me personally, I saw this as, you know what, I'm going to give this my best shot. I don't care how long it takes. I see other people doing it. I don't care how long it takes. I realize their journey is not my journey. If he's succeeding this fast, just because I'm not succeeding as fast as him doesn't mean I can't, you know, still reach my goals with it. So I looked at this as an education, and I was patient, and I stayed on my mindset stuff. So for me personally, that was really big. My mom always told me that patience is a virtue. The one thing that I've never really had a lot of is patience. And working online, you have to be able to develop a little bit of patience to figure things out. You can't always rely on the best Facebook ads training. You can't always rely on the best team training that your sponsor has in order for your success. You have to go out and do it yourself. You have to figure things out. There's only one way you're going to find out if something works or not, and that's to do it. And it's okay if it doesn't fail, because you're going to learn from that, and you're going to learn and be able to do it better next time. So that's the kind of mindset approach that I had about this, and I pretty much got that from lifting weights and playing football my entire life. I realized, you know, you got to put in work. One of our mottos is hard work pays off, and it's the truth. You know, a lot of people see the potential in this business opportunity, and they think it's going to happen overnight. Not saying that it can't, because we have a lot of people inside my team personally that are succeeding big really fast. But if people realize that it's going to take hard work, and it's going to take a little bit of resilience and patience to make this happen, they'll go about their work a little bit more. Most people get into something and they are super desperate to make their business successful. Now, when you're super desperate, desperation is an ugly trait to have, okay? And it changes your marketing. When you make videos and you're super desperate for somebody to join your team, guess what? You're not going to attract anybody to join your team, okay? Just being desperate in a place like that is just a bad place to market out of. So as you learn patience and start to learn little things and celebrate your small successes, I don't care if it's your first lead, celebrate it like you just won the Super Bowl. That's how you slowly progress towards creating the success you want. And you just got to realize that everybody's journey is different. For me, my journey is obviously a lot different from people. Some people might start out more tech savvy than me. I had to figure out how to use a computer. As a matter of fact, after I had my first 5K month from a tablet, my mentor, Justin, actually bought me my first computer. So he bought me my first computer, but which was really cool. It was probably one of the coolest things anybody's happened for me, but I didn't know how to use a computer. So I had to figure it out on my own. And I'm just blessed to be able to sit here today and share my story and just kind of inspire people, no matter where you're at in life. Just realize that, you attracted this opportunity for a reason. You're here for a reason, and your perception on it is going to be the total out is what's going to create the outcome for you. So if you're expecting to succeed, you're more likely going to succeed. When I was doing things, I looked for every single reason that I could make this work, when most people point out all the reasons that they can't make something work. So most people start out online, they're like, oh, I really don't have time, because I work a full-time job. For me, I was working 50 hours a week, waking up at 5 in the morning and driving an hour to work. I worked manual labor in the oil field. Well, it wasn't the oil field. We were making hydraulic hoses for oil tankers and stuff. So it's really, really hard manual labor work. And I'm in southern Louisiana, so the heat is about 100% humidity and 100 degrees. So just completely brutal. So I literally had every excuse to give this up. I was working 50 plus hours a week of manual labor, and as soon as I would get off of work, I would go to the gym, just to kind of get that was my meditative process during each day, where I would kind of release. So I would work 50 hours a week, going to the gym every day, and then drive an hour home. And when I got home, I would put in work for a few hours on my business after my girlfriend would go to sleep, because we were going to be having twins. So I had twins, and things just changed for me. It was right at, like I said, I was working manual labor and then quit my job. It was probably close to a year ago right now. Like I said, I was making about $11 an hour, manual labor, 50 hours a week in the sun and the heat, and I just wasn't being respected in my job. And I was like, you know what? I quit. I'm not coming back to this job. And so that literally forced me to, take it up a notch with my business. But it's okay, because I kind of had an understanding of things. Now, I would never suggest somebody that just starts out working online to quit your job. It's going to be a tough road. But for me, I just started to get the hang of things and understand, and I started having money coming in. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to quit my job. I quit my job, and then we had twin boys, and they are now 17 months old. So we're extremely blessed to have these boys, and I've been working from home pretty much their entire life. We've never had to take them to daycare, and I've been there every step of the way. They're my reason for everything I do. Those boys are everything to me. So for me personally, I don't care what it takes. I'm going to create a life to where I can be around them, and I can raise them to be strong, healthy boys, and it's exciting to me, So I never thought, when I first started diving into personal development and started posting on Instagram, I never thought I would be able to quit my job, leverage an online system, and be able to work from home while raising twins. It's been a surreal experience for me, and I'm just so blessed, just because of the leverage that this system that we're using gives me. I literally will work now whenever I feel like it during the day. I'll usually wake up, play with my boys, go to the gym, come home, hang out with them for a while, and then I'll sit down and do work. My schedule is based around my family and my passions, rather than how it used to be, where I had to fit everything in around a job. So for me, my success was very important, just because I had a strong reason why, and I was willing to do whatever it takes. I didn't care how long it took me. I didn't care if I was grinding this out for, the first 5 years of their life. I said, no matter what, at one point, I'm going to be able to raise these boys, and we're going to be able to do whatever we want. And so it's been quite a ride for me. And like I said, I'm blessed to be a part of this entire family. And yeah, so that's kind of the rundown of my story. I could talk about my story and mindset stuff for hours and hours. So that's kind of a brief summary of my entire story, but there's a lot of aspects to it. But as you see, there's a correlation of things for me. My mindset, I was expecting everything bad that could happen to me. I expected it to, and it did. And then when I came out of things, I've been expecting everything that's good. I expect it to happen to me. I expect to succeed. And I realize that it's not always going to be a straight road, but no matter what, I'm going to persevere and create the life that I want. So, yeah, John, that's my story. And I just turned 30 years old yesterday, by the way. So it was a nice, relaxed weekend. We kind of just hung out. I'm simple these days. I used to be a partier back in my college days before I had a coma, but I'm nice and simple these days. And a gym session and hanging out with my boys and some sushi, and I was pretty good to go. So yeah, there's my story. So
that's awesome stuff, TJ. Congratulations and happy birthday, man! 30 years old.
Yeah.
Woo! Give it up for TJ and his. In our chat roll, TJ, I don't know if you're on dalivecall.com right now, but there is you've been getting a lot of love in the chat roll. We're going to open it up here for some Q&A, but I'll tell you, it's interesting to me to see how much someone can rise from a lot of adversity, right? So we started our conversation here tonight with the idea of overcoming excuses, and you seem like pretty happy with where you're going in life, despite, some pretty unsavory circumstances, and that's the thing that I think a lot of people, like we talked about right at the beginning, like I mentioned, a lot of people sort of cling to and expect, like what you were talking about, you were expecting things to go wrong, and that's based on what? Some programming you picked up from the past, right? So
Exactly.
to be able to get into, to get into present time and look around and see what opportunities are here. What can I do with my abilities, my aptitudes, my interests? And here you are, man, just a couple years later, and assisting a lot of people throughout your business, and of course here tonight on our live call as well. So thank you, man. Fantastic stuff that you shared here today. Yeah, so would you like to take some questions and comments from our gathering here tonight?
Yeah, of course.
Great, let's do that. So what we're going to do, everybody, is we're going to open it up for Q&A and comments and anything you'd like to talk about with TJ. I would recommend that we keep it sort of on topic of, overcoming barriers and excuses and false expectations and, mindset and stuff like this. If you have like a tech support question or something, we do have a help desk over at DA, and people know about, getting websites working and whatever you need there for tech. We can't solve those problems for you on a conference call. So we're going to go ahead and open it up right now. Hold on a second. So Q&A session has started. If you'd like to come on out here, you can go ahead and click the command to raise your hand, and if you are on a phone, that command would be *6, and then you can confirm by pressing the number 1. Or cancel by pressing the number 2. Looks like somebody was just trying to jump out there. Again, this is your opportunity to speak with TJ directly right here on our live call. So if you are joining us live, go ahead. I see our first caller. Well, our first caller jumped in and out of queue. Again, don't be shy. If you want to come on out here, now is the time to do it. This call is for you. We're going to go to our first caller. Please don't cancel. I'm going to go ahead and go to our first caller here, which is Rusty. Rusty, you're live on the air. Rusty Prowitz, you are live on the air, sir.
Oh, sorry, I was just listening.
Okay, very good. Anything you'd like to say or ask TJ tonight?
No, I'm just still kind of new. I just joined a few days ago. I'm getting ready to do my business plan tomorrow.
Very good, Rusty. Glad you're here, and keep on trucking. We will see you on our next call. And we're going to go to our next caller, which is Joshua. Joshua, you are live on the air. Well, we just lost Joshua. Okay, I'm going to go for last call here. We got a bunch of people online. If you'd like to come out, now would be the time to do it. We're going to go to our next caller, which is Cece. Cece, you're live on the air.
Yes, hi there. Can you hear me okay?
Loud and clear, Cece. Thank you for jumping out.
Awesome. Thank you, John. Yes, I have a question for TJ. TJ, can you please tell the rest of us with the days that, because you said you work when you feel like working, but when you do feel like working, can you take us through a typical work day for you, please?
Hi, Cece. Glad to have you on. Yeah, so for me, I usually wake up. I don't wake up from an alarm. I've always hated alarm clocks. Go figure. But my boys usually wake me up in the morning, first thing in the morning. So we wake up, we have breakfast, watch a little Mickey Mouse Clubhouse, and then, yeah, I get breakfast and usually read or listen to an audio. I usually start my days off with some mindset stuff because they do say the door to your subconscious mind, the times when your mind is most accepting things that you learn is like right before bed, first thing in the morning. So I always try and get mindset stuff in right before I go to bed and then first thing when I wake up in the morning. So yeah, I wake up, feed my boys, and then do some mindset stuff, and I usually eat a pretty big meal, and then I go to the gym. When I get home from the gym, I kind of relax, eat a little more food. I eat a lot of food, by the way. And then kind of just relax with my boys for a little bit until I feel like working. I never try to force my work. And obviously I'm blessed to be able to do this. Most people, when they're just starting out, they kind of have to work whenever they have free time. But for me, I never try to force things. So once I feel like start working during the day, I usually sit down, and my work usually consists of posting on Instagram because I run about 16 accounts on Instagram, and I do use automation for them so I can reach bigger audiences. But I usually post on Instagram, and then I'll usually send a newsletter to my list, and then I chat with members. So I chat with potential members, new members, and I also chat with some of my team that is already marketing. So basically once I do that, I relax until we put our boys to bed. I hang out with my boys before we put them in bed. Then when we put them to bed, I hang out with my girlfriend. And we kind of just, hang out, watch TV. And normally she falls asleep pretty early. When she falls asleep, I'll usually either work a little bit more, or I will, just kind of get to bed earlier as well. But I'll always either read a book or listen to audio just to keep my mindset on track. No matter how bad the day is, I want to be able to keep that mindset stuff going, because you're going to have bad days, and it's how you react to those bad days that makes a difference in your life. So I truly believe reading or listening to audios right before bed, first thing in the morning, definitely changed my life. So,
All right, thank you.
Yes.
All right, thank you, Cece, and thank you, TJ. We're going to go to our next caller, which is Glenn. Glenn, you're live on the air, sir.
Thank you, John. TJ, can you hear me clearly?
Sure can.
Excellent. I was tremendously inspired by your story tonight. Fantastic. Really great to hear how things have, how many discoveries you've made. I'm curious. You talked about the shifts in your mindset that came as you went through your life experiences and as you were introduced to digital altitude and this whole industry. I'm sure, this is the thing I'm curious about, TJ, I'm sure that you have found out some things about yourself, and you have found out some things about your place in the world through this whole process. I'm wondering if it may be a bit personal question to ask, but what's one thing you have found out, one thing you've discovered about your own life's purpose, if you'd be willing to share that?
Yeah, thanks for coming out, first off. Yeah, for me personally, I was heavily influenced by what people thought of me as I was growing up. So for me personally, I think that affected the way I acted about a lot of things. Now, if I would have came across a business opportunity earlier in my life before I went through all those things, I would have just laughed and brushed it to the side, because I actually cared. I cared about what people thought, and I had this mindset of, oh, you have to go to college. You have to. For me, it was go to college and learn. I wanted to play professional football, so I just thought this was the route for me, and I was worried about what people thought of me. And I hit that realization point after I woke up from that coma that, you know what, it doesn't matter what anybody thinks, because the only person that affects my own life is myself. I put myself in the bad situation I was in, and I could very easily put myself in those good situations too. So once I got past the idea of worrying what people thought of me, the shift happened for me. And like I said, the further I dug into personal development, it just kind of justified it all for me. And I just had that shift and realized, you know what, this is my journey. It's not anybody else's. So I could care less what someone thinks about me. They all think I'm crazy they all thought at first that I was crazy for working online. And now here I am working alongside while my twin boys tear up the house. While they're at it, bringing their kids to daycare. So for me, I never wanted to bring my kids to daycare, and I set out to make that happen. And so far, I've succeeded. So hopefully that answers your question, man.
Fantastic. Thank you, TJ.
No problem.
Very good. Thank you, Glenn. And we're going to go to our next and final caller, which is Michael from Tampa. Michael, you're live on the air.
Hi, guys. Hi, TJ. Hey, how you doing? Yeah, I'm going to ask you, how long you been with DA, and who was your skill coach?
My skill coach?
Skill coach, yeah.
Yeah, my skill coach was S. Ali. And I joined probably right around, I want to say April, May, but I actually didn't start like full throttle marketing until about mid to late June. So it took me, I realized that this wasn't an overnight get-rich-quick scheme. I realized that to have success in any kind of business, that it was going to take me a little bit. So, I realized, I was like, you know what, I'm going to give this a go. I don't care if it takes me a couple years. I see the potential in it, so that's kind of how I looked at it. So, yeah, it took me a little while to get going, but once I hit it full steam ahead and haven't really looked back, I didn't wait around to try and figure out the perfect path of marketing or the perfect path on how to do this. I just got out there and started doing stuff and kind of just adjusted along the way.
Nice. Hey, what a great guy, right? Ash Ali, right? What a great guy he is.
Yeah,
for sure. Yeah, right?
Yeah,
he's an
I
awesome
definitely
guy.
agree. Yeah.
Yeah, I met him in Vegas, and he's awesome.
Yeah, he changed my life.
Great attitude.
He put me in position to succeed with this, and I'm forever grateful.
Yeah, right? Nice. Oh, thank you. Very nice story. I really like it, and thank you. I appreciate you guys for having me. Thank you. All right.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Michael.
Thank you so
and with that, we're going to end Q&A. All right. And so, let's wrap up with that. TJ, thank you so much for coming out here and sharing your experience with the entire Digital Altitude community. We're very much looking forward to seeing you live and in person. And where are we going? Yes, that's right, Orlando, Florida, in just 9 days. So I'll see everybody there. TJ, any closing comments from you tonight?
I would just say, like I said, guys, realize that give yourself time to figure this out. Don't stress on other people having success faster than you. Realize this is your own journey, and just stick with it, and you'll do great. Like I said, mindset every single day. Even on those bad days, that's when you need it the most to keep yourself in check. So that's all I got.
There you go, man. There it is. Thank you, TJ. Everybody, have a great night. We're going to see you back here tomorrow on the wake-up call. Of course, that's at 10 a.m. Eastern U.S. time. And, of course, everyone here is welcome. And in the meantime, make it a great night. You certainly deserve it. We'll see you tomorrow morning. Bye for now.